Hey you guys, welcome back to Single Arab Female. I'm Guide, your resident single Arab female, and I'm joined by a single Vietnamese female, my friend Danielle. Danielle Nguyen. Danielle, introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, I'm Danielle. I'm Vietnamese. Things you already just heard. I'm Guide's friend and a daughter of immigrants. So
You certainly are. Danielle and I met in high school, but we didn't get close until I moved out here to New York to start a new job. She's currently going to Columbia to do her master's in public health. And this episode is brought to you by being an immigrant child. So it's really about proving to you that regardless of where you come from, your immigrant experience is probably the same. That's something that we can all rally around because I'm not the only one that brought weird food to the lunch table as a 12-year-old, okay? Yes. You probably did too.
Yes.
So judging by your last name, Danielle, you're Vietnamese. We said that already. What I found funny when I moved to New York is that there's a pretty significant Vietnamese population in the Bay Area. And so saying Nguyen is not hard. But here I've noticed that people have a really hard time with it, which I think is funny.
Yes.
Nguyen.
Yes.
Nguyen.
Yes.
I feel like there's just not a big enough Vietnamese population here for them to like really get it quickly enough.
There isn't. When I first moved out here, it was a major culture shock.
Yeah.
Because I was the only Nguyen in my class. And that has never happened before.
That's so weird because at our high school graduation, it was like David Nguyen, Danielle Nguyen.
Like 5
John
minutes.
Nguyen.
Just Nguyen.
Like it wasn't weird for us, but for some reason in New York, despite it being so culturally diverse, there is kind of a lack of a Vietnamese presence, but not a lack of pho restaurants, which is interesting.
A lack of good pho restaurants. So.
Shout out to pho. Which place?
Any number.
What is that? 5, 79, 78, 77, 76, 75,
1 through 100. 1 through 100, shout out.
In the Bay Area, shout out. You were one of the lucky ones and you got a pretty Americanized first name.
I did.
You were born here though.
I was born here.
Yeah. I was not. And so I was given the name Guide, but really my actual name is Reed.
Which is crazy. I didn't know that.
Surprise.
Until you explained it to some other person a few weeks ago. I was like, excuse me?
Yeah. I've been living a double life.
It's true.
Yeah. I moved out here. My family had to change my name because the first letter of my first name doesn't actually exist in the English language.
Really? So what is the letter?
Ra.
Like a very throaty.
It's the back of your throat letter. So read.
Okay.
And so people say read because they can't say the ra sound. Mm-hmm. But do what you gotta do.
I'm gonna practice.
So
that.
I'm now Guide, but you're Danielle.
Yes.
But the funny part is your mom can't say your name.
No, most Vietnamese people can't say my name, and that's why you don't meet a lot of Danielle Nguyen's.
Yeah.
But my mom, well, first of all, my brother's name is Daniel.
What? Wait, I knew this. I don't know why I just acted surprised.
No, my brother's name is Daniel, and then I asked my mom, I was like, Mom, why would you name me something that you can't pronounce? And she was just like, well, your brother's name's Daniel. Obviously, your name would be Danielle. I'm like, is it really that obvious?
Oh my gosh.
But so growing up, I would be in the Vietnamese community a lot, and everyone can't say Danielle. So instead, they break it up in 2 syllables where it's da and then Nhiêu. And then my brother is Daniel. And so growing up, he would be Nhiêu and I would be Nhiêu. So that'd be it sounds so similar, but they're different, I swear.
I love it.
And so Vietnamese people don't know what the hell Nhiêu is, and Vietnamese people don't know how to pronounce Danielle. So
just so funny, which is so the opposite of my situation.
Yeah.
Because American people can't say my name and Vietnamese people can't say yours.
Right.
It's hilarious. Let's switch gears. I talked a little bit about pho restaurants earlier. I guess my question to you is, growing up, did you have any strange foods that you had to bring to the lunchroom table? It wasn't a Lunchables, folks. Surprise.
No. I begged my mom for Lunchables.
Begged my mom for Lunchables,
and she was
too.
like, I'm not feeding you trash.
It's literally 5-year-old charcuterie.
Yes, it is.
It's charcuterie for 5-year-olds.
Yeah, and it was the cool thing to have because it was just so simple and people were down for it, but everything I brought, which was actually bomb food, it would be like rice and like shrimp and like all these like really decadent things, and people would be like, what is that? Why do you have that?
And would you feel like ashamed?
I mean, it's kind of, I was ashamed at some point because it's like when I microwave it, shrimp smells. Even though it smells good, it's just like if you're not used to it, you're gonna talk shit. And kids talk mad shit.
Kids are so mean.
Yeah.
They're seriously so mean. Do you know how many times I was called weed? It's not fun.
No.
Yo, it's not fun. I think so we used to do like hot lunch, I think, when we were growing up and going to school. And then I had seen that like other kids were bringing lunch to school. And so I asked my mom to make me like school lunches, thinking it would look like everybody else's.
Yeah.
But no, like she'd make me things like libna sandwiches. So libna is like this yogurty, pasty. It often comes in like mezza platters when you go to your local hummus shop or whatever, as the cool kids say now. And you eat it with like sprinkled with this thing called za'atar, and it's like this blackish, brownish sort of like thing that you sprinkle on top, and you pour olive oil on it. She'll like make it into a sandwich. And one day I sat on my lunch box.
What?
And it got like pasted to my butt, and it looked like bird poop on my. And it was just like a walking disaster, and like that has nothing to do with being an immigrant kid. It has everything to do with me being just like not very, just like incredibly clumsy.
It's a personal problem over here.
Issue. But it's funny because we used to get made fun of for our lunches, but now like people can't get enough of like pho, of like kebab, of like rice, of hummus, of all of these different things that we grew up with and had. And, you know, it's just like, listen, Rachel, like that was like really mean, and I expect an apology.
Yes.
Like
all
now you like hummus, Rachel?
Yeah.
Now you like hummus, and now you're dating a guy named Muhammad? It feels messed up.
It is messed up.
So my favorite topic is dating, obviously. Growing up, dating was not something you did. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to be a virgin until you have a baby. Until you straight up have a baby. Okay? No dating, no nothing. Bring a white guy home, you're dead. And I think that was something that I struggled with a lot growing up, especially in high school when your hormones are raging.
Yeah.
And the thing to do growing up is do everything that your parents tell you not to do.
Yeah.
So it's like you want a white boyfriend, you want to like do all the things your like white friends are doing. And I feel like my immigrant friends had kind of similar experiences. Like, when were you open about dating with your mom?
I was actually, my mom's kind of crazy. She was, she's like down
an opposite
for me to date. Yeah, it was great. Like the opposite. Although I like, as a person, wasn't really that into dating.
It's true, you are pretty cool.
Like still, like not. Like it's just so happened that I had a boyfriend when I was 16.
You did?
Oh no, when I was 14. Yeah. He was a 16-year-old from a different school.
Ooh.
So, but we met.
Vietnamese?
He was Vietnamese, and then we met through church. My mom's super Catholic, so she was like, "Okay, for show, like a Catholic boy for you." Exactly. But it was like, it was fine, but she didn't like it because she was like, "You're so young, like don't be in a long-term like relationship." She basically like hoe around. She was like, "You're young, hoe
like your
around."
mom.
Like, yeah.
I like her.
She was basically like, "You should be having fun." And the day we broke up, she was like, "Good, now you can have actual fun." And so, I mean, my mom wasn't like everyone else's, where it was like you can't date anyone at all.
Yeah. But was she like more interested in you dating within your culture, within your...
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
I remember when I was on homecoming court, I took our friend Mason was my date, who was like this.
I totally forgot about that. High school is like this like thing that happened to us, and then it's like gone now.
Yeah, like so it's so long ago, but I still remember this instance like so vividly because I was like, this is ridiculous. But so took Mason, who's like this black gay man. And then my mom was like, she was just like, why would you take Mason? Like, why aren't you taking a Vietnamese boy? Like, you're not representing the Vietnamese culture. And I was like, am I myself not good enough to represent our culture that I would have to take another Vietnamese person as my date, even though Mason was a really good friend?
Yeah.
So there is that pressure to like date within. And my mom's crazy. She's just like, it's easier, like if you do that, which I can't disagree. It is, but it doesn't mean that that's the only type of people I can date. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So. My parents say that quite a bit too, that it's easier to kind of date within your culture. You don't have to like explain things. They like speak the same language as you. They've grown up in a similar way. And so it's not like this clash of cultures, but I think it's really beautiful to kind of like meld two different cultures, two different places, you know, and mixed babies are so cute. They're so cute. Yes. I think a lot of times we tend to dwell on, at least I used to do this quite a bit, we tend to dwell on sort of the negative aspects of being a child of immigrants or being an immigrant yourself. I think growing up, when it was really tough, I would blame my parents quite a lot on like things that like they just didn't understand. I think I remember applying to colleges and my dad said to me, like, you can apply whenever, like there's no deadline.
That's the thing. I think like the school system in particular is especially hard for like children of immigrants because like your parents didn't go through that or at least for most kids, their parents didn't go through it. So if you're the first generation, you're pretty much doing it all by yourself. Yeah. So I've met so many children of immigrants where they're like, I had no idea I could do this or I could do that. And like, these like white kids who've been coming from generations and generations of like schooling, they knew and they could do it and they like felt this, it's not even a privilege, they like knew it was like their right to do these things. Yeah. But for us, we're like so reserved.
Yeah, I feel like it almost sets us back a little bit and I don't feel like there's any resources for
you
like,
have to look. Yeah.
It's just not, it's not like in your face. It's not like super accessible, especially to me growing up. And now like, you know, my youngest sister is going through the same system and applying now. And I still feel like my parents are overly like reliant on me, which is fine. You know, like I'm stepping up to do my role, but you know, to make sure that like my sister has the tools that I didn't have, you know, when I was applying to colleges. What do you think are some of the advantages though? Like I want to flip it a little bit. I think we like dwell too much on the negatives. I know I did growing up, but I really think that like I have benefited significantly from coming from a diverse background in my career and perspectives and like being more understanding of other people, being more empathetic of other people. What do you think are some of the advantages on your side?
I feel like, number one, we can speak more than one language, which I love because I cannot learn another language. Like, I can't. I tried Spanish. I tried Duolingo. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
This episode was not sponsored by Duolingo.
But
if you want to sponsor us, Duolingo.
I take it all back. Sponsor us, please.
Sponsor us.
But yeah, like being able to speak another language is something that's beautiful. And it's like something you have to really grow up with. Yeah. And I'm really happy about it because I know like other Vietnamese kids when their parents really wanted them to assimilate into the culture, they like refuse to have their kids speak Vietnamese at all. And now when you're older, a lot of them are like, I really wish I could like speak it or read it or do anything. Because, you know, well, in the Bay it was really useful because every like third person's Vietnamese. Over here, it's like when I hear someone speak Vietnamese, I feel like a different connection with them because, you know, it's like the same tongue that I know how to speak and like it's rare in New York. But yeah, it's something that I really appreciate. Also, I think immigrant parents are harder on you. I mean, my mom is harder in a different way. She just has certain expectations that she doesn't say, but you need to meet them.
What are you supposed to be, a mind reader?
Yeah,
What does she
basically.
do?
She's like, I told you how the other week she like literally yelled at me for not knowing about taxes. And then
They don't teach you that in school.
No, and she was like, they don't teach you that in school. And I was like, no, like literally no, the government just takes my money and I can't do anything about it. So I don't. And she was like, well, I had to teach myself. I came over here when I was 18, the whole story.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you got me. I don't know. So little things like that.
Yeah. I think there's a message that we can learn from immigrant parents and immigrants in general, is that it's really about like picking yourself up from your bootstraps and like really learning everything from the ground up. Like I really have a greater sense of appreciation, because you were just saying like there's no way that I could learn Spanish, for example, but like our parents had to learn English as adults.
Yeah.
And that is so hard. Like I can't imagine, like as an adult, like I can't learn French. I mean, you probably could, never say can't. I just like
we definitely can.
We totally can. It's just like
the work ethic
is lacking.
It's a little subpar. The standards are not there with my mom. But that's another thing too, in terms of work ethic, actually, is like growing up and seeing my mom, like specifically, like she's like, I don't speak English as well as you, and like I am not as smart as you, I don't have as much education, but like I'm successful, so you can be even more successful than that. And she tells me that like literally every single time she sees me, I want to say. But it is a really good reminder.
Yeah.
And it's like a really good kind of like booster and propeller of like you, and like understanding that like you come from this really historical past of people who tried really hard, and you should continue on that legacy.
Yeah. I look at my life and I see that there's a parallel universe that I could be in Iraq right now.
Yes.
And that if I were to be there right now, my reality would look so different, because I see my cousins and family members who are around my same age, and they're like married with kids. There's like lack of opportunity. Like, I think it's a space that has gone through so much war and so much turmoil. And I always think about how like my life could be so different, and how sometimes I feel guilty that like I don't like take advantage of a lot of opportunities that are given to me. Like I feel like I could be in a different place in my life. I feel like I could have done a lot more. I feel like, there's so many more things I could have done and I could have pursued, and I could be a doctor now. And oh my God, like I'm having all of these like ideas. Like, am I going to cry?
You wouldn't be happy doing
No, I wouldn't be happy. But still, it's like, how far you have to fall, like the struggle that came with your parents coming here and like doing this and like really pushing for this life that you have now. Yeah. I wonder if like, because I feel like we grew up in a very specific time frame, and I wonder if like Gen Z has similar experiences to us. Like I wonder, because they're supposed to be really like
self-aware
and woke. Like, do Gen Zers make fun of each other for the food that they bring to the lunch table? That's a great question.
Also I feel like we grew up in California, and like now we're in New York City. These are very like open liberal spaces. Like, can you imagine being in like, I don't know, Oklahoma? Like,
I have no idea.
Like, it'd be so difficult. And so
it'd be so different.
I think a lot of Gen Z still go through the same issues.
Yeah. It
might just be like, maybe they have a little bit more support from people around them who are like, you know what, fuck you. Like, I'm gonna eat this food and she's gonna eat it too. Like, it's like, you kind of just need that one person to stand up for you to feel less bad. And that's really important. Well, like growing up, it's difficult to have someone be that brave. And I think like maybe Gen Z, while they're still experiencing it, have like a little bit more like courage in them.
Yeah, I agree. So I work in digital marketing. You're currently getting your master's in public health.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have the same pressure that I had growing up, where I had two choices in terms of career? I could be a doctor, and it's bad at math, so that's not going to happen. Or I could be a lawyer. And I was literally this close to go to law school.
Yeah. It's a crazy story.
This close. I was a week from starting school. I had my books ordered, my tuition paid, my apartment signed on. Everything was set. And then I got an offer from Apple, and I had to decide whether I was going to ditch law school completely and dash the hopes of my parents, who my dad, while I was like working at Apple, like years into my career, he would still ask me if I was going to go to law school.
Yeah.
And my heart broke a little bit every single time because
it just makes you feel like they're not proud of you where you are.
Yeah, I know now that they're really proud of me, and I know that they're really proud of me for like making the right decision for myself. And, you know, like I feel like I'm in such a better space than I would have been if I had like gone to law school. My life would have been so different. I don't think I would have been very happy. But yeah, I guess I'm just curious about
My
what what that pressure looked like, and even more so what that pressure looked like because you're raised by a single mom.
Yeah. So my mom's just so not true. I feel like I'm not a good guest for this one.
No, this is fun because this also proves that there's a myriad of experiences and you know, perspectives. And I think people get so caught up in that, like, we're so different. Like, because I was born in Baghdad, because your parents are Vietnamese, like, and you're Vietnamese, that we're so different from like an average American kid, when in reality, we're the average American kid.
No, yeah.
You know, like this is truly a melting pot. Like what an American looks like is probably somewhere between you and me. And that's something that we have to be cognizant of.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's like nice to hear this totally flipped experience, because I feel like a lot of Asian American kids have had similar experiences to me where it was like A-, like you're disowned.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you don't want to be a doctor, like get out of my face.
It's true. And that's why a lot of, like, I know a lot of people who've gone that route, and I'm like, I'm not questioning if you're really happy. Like, you're successful, yes, but like your happiness, like, did you do it for yourself? And I think a lot of them, I'm like, I don't think you did. But for me specifically, like my mom was a single mom growing up, so she like was always working, and I didn't really see her that much. But she also didn't put a lot of pressure on me. I was kind of just like, I put pressure on myself because my mom was a single mom. I didn't want to be another problem in her life. So for me, it was like, you have to deal with all this shit already, and I'm going to be as perfect as I can be so that you don't have to worry about me. So I like did really well in school, did all the extracurriculars, like, you know, like was still slightly a delinquent, but not like,
I remember you in high school.
Not a level where you have to worry about it. It was just like a good even balance of everything.
Yeah.
And I would like I would get like a B plus, and I'd be so upset and be like, Mom, I got an effing B plus. And she's like, oh my God, good job. And I'm like, no, you don't get it.
Cute.
Yeah. And it was like such a different experience. So different. So it wasn't like I had to be a doctor, or I had to be a lawyer. My mom, although like as an immigrant and like as a single mom, she is very like money focused and money driven. So she owns her own business and she does nails, as like obviously Vietnamese. But she's like, she worked her way up to owning her own shop. And now she's like, I want you to own your own business, which I think is another route that a lot of like immigrant kids go. It's like, you have to own your own small business or whatever, like make your money that way. And so that's like when I told her I was going to go to Columbia for, you know, Columbia for grad school.
Columbia, like, Ivy League.
She was like, why would you waste your money on your education when you could be making money with your money? Which I think is a different perspective for immigrant parents. Very different perspective. Because a lot of them are like, okay, whatever money you make, put it under your bed. Whereas like the actual thing to do with economy is like put it back into the economy. So my mom was forward thinking in that sense, but also it's like I received the pressure from her to be something that I didn't want to be. So I kind of had like that similarity to other people. Yeah. But just not like a doctor or a lawyer. Although when I tell her that I want to become a lawyer so I can sue people, she's down. She's all for it.
She's like, more money, more money.
She's like, do it. I'm ready.
Hilarious. So. My parents always taught me that like no one can take your education from you. And so that's why they always encouraged me to like go further with school. Right now I'm exploring going and getting an MBA. And it sort of comes from this background and this idea that like, no matter how many degrees I get, like even if I'm kicked out of my job, like no one can take away my education and I will always have that under my belt. They really, really, really are very prideful when it comes to getting educated, making
Did your
sure that
parents finish like college and
my
all that?
dad has a master's degree.
Okay.
My mom has a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
They didn't see it as a choice. They saw it as like a mandatory thing. And not even just getting a bachelor's degree, like getting into college wasn't this like surprise thing and wasn't this like thing that like they were
worried
about in a sense. Like they were more like, this is what you have to do. And then when you're done with that, then you're going to go further.
Yeah.
So like you have to continue your education. You have to keep going and, never take that for granted, which I really appreciate that mindset. But for me, I think I wasn't ready. Law school just didn't seem right for me. And so
it's hard to go continuously.
It's really hard. Well, you can also say that it's like even harder to like go back to school.
I feel like the only, speaking from my own personal experience, it's like harder because you don't have money. Like freaking money to no money.
Yeah.
Is like one of the hardest things. But once you do choose to go back to like grad school for your MBA, it's a different type of experience because you're choosing to go.
Yeah.
I think like from high school to college, a lot of times the pressure is put on you to like, you have to do this.
Yeah.
You have to go there even if you don't want to.
Yeah.
From like pretty much any parent. Even though my mom didn't finish college and there wasn't, like I didn't have to go to like Berkeley or wherever. Like she wanted me to go to like Santa Clara University and like that was because it was close to home. That one thing, she's like, you have to be close to home all the time. Even though I'm in New York right now. But that's like the one thing.
You're such a disappointment.
I know, such a disappointment.
Oh, man. Well, this was your episode of Single Arab Female with my single Vietnamese friend, Danielle.
Hello.
Thanks for joining. If you want to follow Danielle on Instagram, it's at Danielle TK Nguyen. If you can't spell Nguyen, then go get yourself educated and continue to check out what we're doing at singlearabfemale.com and at singlearabfemale on Instagram. And we'll see you next time. And I'll probably still be single next time.
You never know.
I think I'll probably still be single next time.
But you have to like change your name if you're not. You're going to be single until this is over.
Bye.